conversation.
So
Are
what
you
we
ready?
got, babe? Yeah, I'm ready.
Today we're going to talk about toxic relationships. Now, we believe that
Yeah.
this talk or this conversation that is very or extremely relevant, because unfortunately, we know a lot of people that are having a blast, in their relationship. They're traveling the world. They're doing amazing things. They're reaching their goals. They're breaking barriers. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are broken in their relationships, and unfortunately, they're in toxic relationships, right?
Yeah.
And just for a disclaimer, for those that know us, we're all about positivity. That's why we created this platform, to give you guys a sober perspective, some real, true, sustainable knowledge and truths and conversations that can actually help you, because there's a lot of noise out there, right?
Right.
So disclaimer, we're not here to discourage you guys in your relationship, right?
Absolutely not.
We're not here to break up no relationship.
Absolutely not.
That's crazy. And we're not here to scare anybody like, everybody's bad. That's why I want to get married. I knew he was crazy. I knew. No. And we're not here to judge, your situation. However, we are here to challenge our habits.
That's right.
To challenge our mindsets, to challenge some of the things that we deploy in our relationships.
Some of our behaviors.
So if you are ready, give us some love. Give us some hearts. We need some hearts, baby. Give us some love here. We need some love. If you're interested in this topic, we want you guys to give us some love as we talk about toxic relationships. And although we're having a good time, but this thing is very,
very serious.
Yeah, so can you share a little bit about, what is a toxic relationship?
So a toxic relationship is defined by being a relationship between two people who are consistently or constantly fighting or on thin ice with each other, but trying to maintain their relationship. A toxic relationship is characterized by insecurity, self-centeredness, control, and emotional dominance.
Wow. So a toxic relationship, just to sum it up, it's a relationship that has a lot of friction in it, that's out of control, that's pretty much harmful, or could be detrimental to the relationship. And when you think about it, being in a toxic or being in a relationship with problems is not an indication that you're in a toxic relationship.
Absolutely not.
Because as two people get together, we come from different backgrounds. We have different perspectives, different ideologies. We're broken people, to be honest. We have a past. We have just a lot of things that we deal with, perception, personality types. And when we get together as one unit, sometimes we can clash.
Absolutely.
We can have differences in our relationship. And, we stand here guilty, being open and transparent that everything is not butter and cream, sugar and cream all the time, right?
Not all the time.
So when you have two people in a relationship, you're going to have issues. So I want to encourage you, I don't want you guys to get scared or feel like you're in the judgment seat as we talk about certain things, because you can have problems, but that's totally normal, right?
That is normal. Problems are normal.
Yes.
Some things aren't normal, and we're going to talk about what things are not normal.
Right.
But problems, typical things that happen in a relationship or that take place in a relationship, like disagreements, little arguments, or little fires. Those are normal things that take place in a relationship. But then you have some things that go a little bit further than that are not typical, and they could be detrimental. So
I want to ask you guys a question. Have you personally experienced or witnessed the toxic relationship? So if you've personally witnessed or have experienced a toxic relationship, I want you to put yes or no in the comment section.
That's a good question, babe.
So if you've experienced this in your life, whether directly or indirectly, whether personally or somebody around you, or
so like a parent,
yes,
or maybe even an aunt and uncle, or your grandparents, or your brother, or or yourself.
Right.
Because we've all witnessed, certain relationships, and we've all taken things from those relationships,
John
right?
said yes. What's up, cousin? Maya said yes. Ashley said yes. Unfortunately, a lot of us, we have David says yes.
Right? I think we all have. I think
Deanna
we can all
yes.
answer that with a yes, right?
Yes, Shamir said, personally, thank you for your transparency. Yolanda says yes. Kenyatta says yes. Brittany says yes. So this is common.
Yeah, it is.
So what we're talking about isn't a new thing. It's common when there are a lot of millions or hundreds of thousands of marriages that happen every year.
Yes.
There are occurrences or issues or times to where you will witness this drama or this toxicity.
I'm gonna need you to get that right.
Toxicity. Yes. Bonnie said friends too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for your honesty. Stacy said 10 years marriage toxic. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Toxic friendships. Absolutely. Yeah. And what we're talking about tonight is specifically in a romantic relationship, right? So when you think about the word toxic is also translated as something that's poisonous, or something that's dangerous, harmful, and even venomous. And what comes to mind when I think about venomous, I think about snakes. I don't know why. Anytime I think about venom, I think about a snake.
Of course.
And it seems like, when you watch the National Geographics or the Discovery Channel, you see like a snake. That's one of my fears. A snake just wrapping you up and just wrapping your body up. And he just choke you to death and he just bites you and he insert that venom into you. So that's what being toxic is, and when you think about venom, some venom don't like just kill you instantly.
Right.
Some venom, it takes time to kill you and it kills people slowly.
Yes.
And here's the fact in our relationships, some of us start off, relationship, it could be good. You can have a blast, you take a sip, I take a sip, you go out to dinner, everybody see the loveliness that you guys portray or the unity that you portray. And as time goes on, there's one bite, there's one level of friction, one level of pain, of conflict. And as that thing goes on, as time goes on, that thing becomes more stronger and stronger. And eventually that thing will kill you, right?
It will. It can be lethal.
It can be very lethal.
Yeah, it can be. Very destructive.
So being in a toxic relationship can actually be extremely lethal. And a lot of times we don't see the flags. We don't see the red flags in our relationships, right? Because there's a level or a progression to toxic relationships.
That's good.
Now I'm gonna share just some ideas with you. So if you're dealing with a person and there's a lot of friction, it may start out like be quiet. And it's like, that's nothing, that's normal to be in an argument or a disagreement. And you tell that person,
is that normal?
I told you to be quiet quite a few times today, right?
Okay. Yeah, true that.
I need you to be quiet while I give my little.
That's not what he said.
No, I'm
Not
kidding, guys. But there's a progression to that thing. So toxic, when you think about toxicity,
Get it right.
there's a progression. So it can start from, if you're in a relationship, say be quiet. Then it'll lead to shut up. Then it can lead to shut the hell up. Then it can lead to shut the F up. Then it can lead to, excuse my French, this is real and this is raw. Shut the F up, bitch.
That's true.
There's a progression to this venom, to the toxic relationships.
Jeez.
So we really want to be aware and be sober and be conscious of the progression, because all relationships nothing starts off just terrible. For some reason, it just always progressed to
or even name calling, right?
Right, even name calling.
Like you're dumb.
Yeah.
And then like you're stupid.
Yep.
Or you talk too much.
Right.
Like just all type of things, like he said, shut up, or you think you're this.
Right.
Or, you're not smart enough, or,
Right.
it's just all type of things that it turns out to be. It starts off very, very slowly, and then it just begins to progress as they get more and more comfortable.
Right.
Right. As the toxic person gets more and more comfortable.
Right. And the reality, being in a toxic relationship it can kill you.
It can.
Sometimes even physically. And if you think about it, I've been in a toxic relationship, and to be extremely transparent, it leaves you feeling hopeless, stressed out, heartbroken, angry, bitter. It can cause you to be contemptuous, and you can feel alone in a dark place. It can kill your confidence, your self-esteem.
Yeah.
It can kill your optimism.
Yeah.
And it can even kill your faith in God. When you get with somebody and your whole objective is to be pleasing to your family, to God, to one another, and you put all of your life, all of your energy, all of your love, everything that you have into a relationship, and then you pooped on.
Wow.
Or you're in a relationship in a dark place with somebody, but you're actually alone.
Yeah.
That could be a terrible place,
It
right?
can be a terrible place. I remember growing up, I had a friend. Her name was Lakeisha. And Lakeisha was, in the beginning, she was very quiet and very cool, very collected. And, we were good friends. And this was elementary school. We were really good friends. And then we went to Drew Middle School. And, Lakeisha started hanging out with a different set of people than I hung out with. And so, she started doing other things. And then we moved away, and I moved all the way on the other side of town. And then I happened to see Lakeisha with, a neighborhood friend. And I'm like, oh, it's Lakeisha. But Lakeisha was not the same Lakeisha that she used to be. She was very, very different.
So you would say that being in a toxic relationship can actually change a person's character, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It absolutely changed her character. At that time, I wouldn't say that she was in a toxic relationship because I didn't even know. I just noticed that her behaviors were much different than what they were because we were still very young. We were like 8th graders, 7th or 8th graders. But she was dealing with someone who was a little bit older. And I remember watching her hang out with this guy, and he was abusive. He would tell her, shut up. He would call her bees. I've seen him slap her in the back of the head a couple of times. I've seen him reaching in the back of the car trying to punch her. And I remember, talking to her one day, like, why do you deal with that? Like, that's crazy. Like, you are nothing like that. Like, you got a good mom, you got a good family. From what I know, from where we grew up and where we came from, everything was good. But Lakeisha was still choosing to deal with that. And then eventually the name calling and, the little hitting turned into Lakeisha being beat. I'm talking about beat, like bad. And it was so bad to the point where he dropped her off at the hospital. Now, I don't share this story just to share it because you can see it. You can look it up on the news or to scare anybody.
Right.
But he beat her really badly and dropped her off at the hospital stairs and left her there to die. And she did die,
Wow.
but it was a progression that led up to that. It started with name calling. Then it started with little hitting, like I said, he hit her in the back of the head. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Did he just hit you in the back of the head?
Yeah.
Who does that?
So that's the progression.
But that was the
so
progression.
You got to look for the signs, right?
And she ignored those signs. And it could have been because she was just naive and she was young and she thought it was innocent, but she didn't realize that not paying close attention to those things and not noticing those red flags would cost her life. Yeah. So that's I just think that that's important because when we say it can be lethal, we have to give those examples. Like it really can be lethal. Yeah. It can be deadly. It can be destructive. And we have to look at those characteristics that people present and choose to walk away from those things.
Right. And there's a progression. And like we said, it can feel, tension, conflict, or being in a toxic relationship. It can kill you inside. It really could transform that nice person into a bee.
Oh, man,
It can transform that guy that wanted a monogamous relationship, but he was maybe abused in some sense, whether it's emotionally, physically, or mentally by someone. And now he's like, he lost all hope, all optimism, So it just doesn't kill you physically, but there are a lot of damage. Yes,
it can kill your spirit.
And like I said earlier, your faith in God is like, man, God, I done prayed to you. You ain't answering me. Mm-hmm. And here's a fact, a lot of times we do blame God, but really we choose and we make these decisions. Yeah. He's there to bail us out and he's with us. However, there's a thing that's called cause and effect. Mm-hmm. There's a thing that's called reaping and sowing. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to sow hate, unfortunately, a lot of times that thing comes back to you.
Yeah.
So if you make bad decisions in your relationship, you can't just blame God or blame people around you. You need to actually blame yourself, because the decisions that you make today will determine your outcomes tomorrow.
Yeah.
So as people, we can't be desperate or insecure or be so anxious to get into bed with somebody or be married and just compromise, right?
Or just be with someone. I hit my face on here, but even just to be with someone, because sometimes we might not even hop into bed with somebody, but we just want to be with somebody
Right.
so badly
Right.
that we settle for the toxicity. We settle
Right.
for the name calling. We settle for
Mm-hmm.
the put downs.
Right.
We settle for the shut up. We settle
Mm-hmm.
for those things like, okay, that's nothing, I can deal with that. But really, you don't realize that you dealing with that, but eventually that thing turns into a full-blown monster.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to read a few of these comments. Carrie said, definitely red flags. Absolutely. A lot of times we don't want to get into sexual relations because sex will dim those red flags, but that's a whole nother topic. We have a few.
Sex will burn those red flags. You won't even see them.
Oh,
You be
you won't
like,
see 'em.
it's so good.
Yeah,
Everything
I'm
about
telling
it is good. And you be like, red flag, big
Yep.
stop sign, don't do it. And then be like, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a whole another topic. Sharice said, and being in a toxic relationship in front of children is even worse. Absolutely. That's a terrible thing, because we're going to get into experiences and exposure in a few minutes, but you're absolutely right, Sharice. That's just totally unnecessary, and it's unacceptable, to be honest.
Shanitra, I love what you just said. Like you don't just wake up toxic.
Yes.
Like it develops over time. It does. Like
Yeah.
that. It absolutely does. It is such a progression to the toxicity.
Right.
It's never just like I'm bam, wham, bam, I'm gonna punch you in the face type
Right.
thing. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna call you a B initially. No, it's like, oh, you dumb. Oh, you stupid.
Right.
It just starts to progress.
Yeah, it goes from
Like, why you sound like that?
Right. You get on my nerves.
Yep.
I don't like you. I hate you.
You're irritated,
It's over. So we got to really look out for these signs. So if you're in a marriage or a monogamous relationship, it's the Thursday night.
Is.
It's Thursday night. I'm all stuttering and all that. However, you want to look for these clues, or look for these indicators that could possibly just contaminate your whole relationship, right?
Jeremiah said something good too. He said, sometimes you find yourself in a toxic relationship because of what you saw or experienced as a child.
And we're going to get into that. Absolutely.
That's the
Jeremiah.
absolute truth. What you see is typically what you what you search for sometimes, or what you accept.
Yes, and we're gonna deal with that in a second. Tanisha said, generational curse. Absolutely, a cycle that can be broken and start with yourself.
That's right.
Absolutely, but it takes a lot of healing, willpower, self-discipline, self-awareness to really deploy or make that change in your life. Which is we're very capable, because I believe that I have, right?
Absolutely,
right, absolutely. So let's move on for a minute. We want to talk about the three types of people that are in a toxic relationship.
Okay.
And number one, there are people that know that they are in a toxic relationship, but they don't know how to get out of it, or they don't know how to fix it.
Okay.
There are people that are in it, but they don't know how to get out of it if they desire to do so, or they do, or the problem is so big that they don't know how to fix it, right?
Yeah.
The second type of person or people are people that are in a toxic relationship, but they just don't know that they're in a toxic relationship. They're like totally oblivious to their madness and to the level of problems and drama that's going on.
We always
in
fight
their
like
lives. Yeah. So it's normal to them, right?
Yes.
And the third person,
oh,
people.
Baby, that is so, man, that brought me to.
I
had a friend growing up, and let me tell y'all something. I saw something that I probably wasn't supposed to see, and I told her, right? I told her, and then she shared it, and then the person said, "Oh, that ain't no big deal. That's what men do. Like, It's okay. Like, oh, you saw him cheating. Ain't no big deal, girl. That's what men do. That's all right. He gonna be all right. Is he at home? Is he in this car? Is he in this? And I was just like, oh, who says that?
Yes.
But that's what she saw. And that's back in the day, that is how they grew up. That's what men do. If they bring home the bacon, who cares? Like, we just got to deal with it. Absolutely. So a lot of times it is what we see. And that's what makes it acceptable. Absolutely.
And Stacey made a point that's very important. And I think is relevant to share. She said, and you don't have to come from a background of abuse to be with an abuser.
Oh, you don't?
It can be subtle. Absolutely. It can be subtle.
It can sneak up on you.
But the third one is a person that knows that they're in a toxic relationship, but they're just extremely comfortable living there. They totally normalize the disrespect, like Maya said. Everything is totally normal. And I have a name for those people.
Okay.
I call those people functioning dysfunctional holics. Functioning dysfunctional holics.
Okay.
Now, what is a functioning dysfunctional holic?
Tell me, what is it?
It's people that function in dysfunctional environments.
Oh, okay.
They're 100% comfortable with the drama, laying in the boo-boo. You know, they're used to it. And a lot of them, they attract it.
That's right.
And they're addicted to it. And it's crazy. It's like, you know, they're used to arguing in public, you know, going off. You know, they feel like if we ain't having makeup sex, it ain't a good relationship.
Oh, people really think that.
Yeah, and they
like,
normalize.
Oh, I love when we fight because then we have good sex. Like, well, why you can't just have good sex? Why you got to fight to have good sex?
I'm telling you, right.
Because my love life, we ain't got to fight to have good sex. We could just, like, after this show.
Absolutely. Seems like you're ready. No kidding. But, you know, these people, these dysfunctional or functioning dysfunctional holics, they feel comfortable, you know, and they normalize their condition.
Okay.
Although the condition is crazy, it's not normal, it's abnormal, but they normalize it. And the crazy thing about people that are dysfunctional here is that they feel uncomfortable in normal environments.
Situations. Like, it's,
no, go
baby,
for it.
Who always, I ain't even gonna say who it is,
go ahead.
But we got somebody who come over our house that can't stand coming over our house talking about because it ain't enough noise in here.
All right.
We too peaceful.
They're so intoxicated or with this dysfunction, like an
what?
alcoholic, to where anything outside of that madness brings
this
discomfort.
person literally said, like, I don't like coming over y'all house. It ain't y'all don't be enough. Y'all be riled up enough.
Yeah.
Like it is too quiet over here. Y'all got too much peace going on up in here. And we was like, what?
Right.
Like, well, don't come back because we don't want your spirit left up in here.
What we're doing is what regular people do. You know,
she really said that. She said it to us though, but that's how you know you dysfunctional.
Right.
When you can't stay in peace.
Right. And it's like, and if you think about it, people that are functioning dysfunctional holics, it's like they're anything that's regular, it's like counterintuitive to them or
anything
normal.
Normal.
No, I call it regular. I'm being a little hood. Anything that's regular, they feel uncomfortable, you know, and they think even when you post. No, here's an example. Have you ever seen anyone that goes to maybe a social event and there's a little wine going on and maybe a few cocktails and wings and maybe some cheese, you know, adulting. And then they come in like, this junk is boring. They ain't turned up in here.
Oh my God.
This is the wackest part. Like, bro.
Like, what? Like, I'm
having
sorry.
18 drinks, rolling over in somebody else's bed the next morning, pregnant is not normal.
That's not normal.
It is not a normal thing.
Like,
but the crazy thing about it is it's normal to them.
Yeah.
What's normal is abnormal to the dysfunctional holic. You know, and a lot of times they're addicted to this.
Yeah.
And they can't function without the fighting, you know. And we're joking, but a lot of people, you know, unless I cuss them out, if I don't cuss them out, I don't feel good today.
Right.
You know, if we're not arguing, I feel uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, let me get my word in. Let me tell her how it is. You know, let me establish my authority. You know, and unfortunately, that's not normal.
Right.
It might be your normal, but that isn't
not normal. Yeah.
To people, right? And if you think about a functioning dysfunctional holic, it's kind of like alcoholic. You know, an alcoholic drinks so much that they're totally intoxicated, right? And they become abnormal. And when you think about being inebriated or becoming an alcoholic, it doesn't start off that way, but it starts off with what? One drink.
One.
Right? One drink. on the weekends. Then you drink a lot the whole weekend. Then they got happy hour on Tuesday. So you drink on Tuesday. Now you're drinking on Tuesday. And now you're drinking on the weekends the whole weekend. Then as you continue to do it, you're doing it every day. And it becomes your normal. And a lot of times alcoholics, they don't know that they're alcoholics until something bad actually happened in their world. So there's a progression. So we got to be very careful. And what does being intoxicated, what does it do to you? It alters your mindset.
Yeah, it does.
A lot of people that are intoxicated in their relationship, they don't have the right mindset because it's been shaped by their experiences, by what they've been exposed to,
That's good,
what
babe.
they've heard, seen, and felt.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so
good.
they think that their perception of relationships is right. But the reality, they're about to crash. They're about to get a, what do you call it? A D what? DWI?
DUI.
DUI, whatever it's called. Then you're going to be locked up.
Right.
Because you don't understand that you actually have a problem. And it also clouds your judgment.
It does. Big
You
time.
don't really know what you're doing because it's so chaotic in your relationship. You're saying anything. The children are around. You're blacking out. You're just going nuts because you're intoxicated or you've accepted your condition. So it's important that
Dang,
we
babe,
really,
that was
you know,
good.
learn to identify these
That was
things in our
good.
relationships because it can actually cause a lot of instability in our world, right?
Very true.
You know, so we got to really look out for these signs in our relationships. We really
Babe,
do.
That was good. That was
Right?
really good. I enjoyed that bit right there. That was good. I'm
And
sorry.
here's another thing though, babe, that we need to address is that some people are just toxic people. They don't need to be in a relationship. Their mind is not conditioned properly. They need a new paradigm of thinking, a mindset shift, a behavioral change before they even try to commit to somebody, because when they do commit, or not even commit, everything that they touch, they ruin.
They ruin everything, though, everything. And I don't think people realize that when they're toxic, like everything they touch, they ruin
It's ruin. Right.
because they are truly toxic from the inside.
Right.
You know, and they try to blame everybody else. A toxic person is going to continuously blame everybody else for the toxic behaviors. And that's that
But they can't
manipulation.
see, I ain't drunk.
Oh, that's that manipulation. They gonna
I
blame
ain't drunk.
everybody
Yes.
else for everything else that's going wrong because they never want to take ownership for what is happening in their life because
Yes.
they're toxic.
That's right. They're their own worst enemy.
They
You're
are.
absolutely right.
They really are.
Stacey, and
There's some
unfortunately,
good comments in here too, babe. Go
yes,
ahead.
read a few. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see. Villette said, because people with toxic behaviors bring those behaviors in relationships. Toxic is their normal. Yes, it is.
It is.
Satara said, dang, I know a few people like that. They be like, y'all too happy. Girl, that's what they tell us. That's
Yeah.
what she tell us. Like, y'all, oh, y'all too happy
Ooh,
over
yeah,
here. Over here all happy.
Right.
And loving each other. We're like, what's wrong with you? But listen, let's see, who else? Stacy said, no, and they are haunted by their own demons. Yes, they are. They are their own worst enemies.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Sabrina. Girl, listen. People really have to deal. We all.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have some form of toxic behavior
And dysfunction.
Yeah,
Some
and
level.
dysfunction, right?
You know, unfortunately, a lot of us do have blind spots
Yes.
or areas that we're conditioned in a way
But being
to where we need to be
aware of
transformed.
those things,
Absolutely.
it's when you become aware of those things that you can deal with them. Because
Yes.
most toxic people are not aware that they're toxic.
Yeah.
They are okay with their behavior. This is normal. This is how they function.
Right.
But when you realize that, hey, something ain't right about how I'm handling this, something ain't right about the way I'm going about this, then you know, like, I need to make some adjustments. And that starts with me. Like, it don't have
Yeah.
anything to do with the other person. That person can be making you feel that way, but that person cannot determine how you react.
Absolutely.
Your behavior is solely yours, and you have to take ownership of that. So when people be like, they made me do it, like, can't
Oh, no,
nobody make
no.
you do nothing.
Absolutely
That
not.
behavior was already
Right.
in you.
Now, we understand that for every action, there's a reaction, but it's no justification in a lot of things, you know,
Right.
because we have to learn how to use some self-control and self-discipline, you know, and not be so reactive.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of power. It takes a lot of willpower. However, especially in relationships, somebody has to be the hero, because when you're throwing shots, and another disclaimer again, we're not implying that everybody's relationship is doomed.
No.
That if you're dealing with things in your relationship,
if that's the case, we would be doomed.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
But understand this, that there are a lot of people that are in relationships right now that probably shouldn't have been in relationships.
Very true.
And if they're not willing to change their behavior or their mindset, they're not going to last, or they won't have if you really want, the question is, what do you want? There are a lot of people here listening to us, but ask yourself, what do you really want?
Right.
You really got to dig deep down inside.
Yeah.
Do you really want her? Do you really want him? Or are you going to continue to be toxic and selfish? If the question is yes, you got to start doing some self-evaluation and some behavioral change, mindset shifts, and just get some help, right?
Yeah.
Because it's very important. Very, very important. You got a few comments, babe?
Yeah. Let's see what everybody's talking about. So let's see. Stacy said, unfortunately, some of this comes from underlying mental illness, self-medicated with alcohol and weed. Stacy, a lot of it does, especially in the African-American community.
Yes.
Because we don't seek help. No. We self-medicate all the time. And sadly, because we self-medicate, we never heal.
Right.
We just push it down. We try to push it down. But all the while, every time you get sober, here it is. And it's spilling out. And it's spilling out in everything. Like, it's not just in your relationship. It's in your parenting. It's in your friendships. It's in the way you treat your mother. You know what I'm saying? It's in the way you talk to people. Yeah. It's in the way you address people at work. Like, and a lot of people don't even realize that. They think just toxic behaviors are just in relationships.
Right.
But they're not. Like, toxicity can exist anywhere. Yep. Like, I know someone who's so toxic, and everywhere they go to work, they are still toxic.
Yeah.
Like, and
it's like it's following you, but it's everybody else's problem.
It's everybody else's problem, but no, it's you. Like, and you have to address you.
Right. If the boo-boo, if you smell something musty everywhere you go, you're
more
probably
than likely
musty.
it's you.
And you need to clean up a little bit, because everywhere you go, you're ruining it.
Yeah.
It's everybody else's fault. No, but some people are just extremely toxic, and we see it all the time. And people that are functioning dysfunctional holics, even in relationships, when they see somebody's on a boat having a good time, they ain't really happy.
They ain't happy. Who are you to tell them if they really happy or not?
Life is that bad for you.
Like, no, you unhappy.
So every moment, so
that
if somebody
everybody
put a
else
picture
have,
up, you think that
they unhappy.
It's fake or
they
it's
faking
corny
it.
because you don't understand what true love is,
but we all supposed to respect you being happy. We all supposed to respect your relationship, but you didn't call everybody else's relationship a lie. You can't do that.
That's crazy.
That's your toxic mess. That's your experience. You can't do that. You can't say that.
Can't put no deodorant on it.
Yeah, like you can't. No. You don't have the right to say that.
Right.
Because then all it is you putting that mirror back in front of your face.
Absolutely.
It's you.
Right.
It ain't everybody else. It's you. And you got to look at it and you got to address it. Because I hate when people say that, like, they act like they are in love and all happy. Well, maybe they are.
Right. And isn't that crazy? It makes people uncomfortable.
Like, what? We can't love each other? They just want to hold hands.
Like, if somebody,
I do want to hold his hand because I love him.
Like, bro, you and that you are intoxicated. Your brain or your mentality is off. Mm-hmm. Whatever you've experienced or whatever you've been exposed to has tainted the reality of a successful marriage or relationship.
Right.
And listen, I think this is a good time to even move on to, how do toxic relationships form, and I believe that they are either adopted or they're developed. They're adopted or they're developed. Now, what do I mean? It's really adopted through what you've been exposed to.
Right.
As a child. I remember when I was a child, when I was younger, on one side, I was raised by my grandparents, Bo and Seal, Pastor Willie and Sister Thompson, the head mother. They raised me, and I believe that they had problems, of course, but their relationship is a beautiful relationship. They were married over 50-something years, and I saw that side, to where they functioned, to where they took care of kids. They had 6 and they adopted 9. They were wonderful people.
They were crazy.
My grandfather,
who does that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were
I'm
crazy.
joking.
No, they were crazy. They love people crazily.
Yes,
They had a
that's awesome.
crazy love for people.
That's
But on the other side, not to be personal, but even experiencing things with my mom. She was in a lot of relationships that were abusive. Because she been through a lot, and I've seen a lot of negativity, and it affects you. It affects your psyche. It affects you emotionally, mentally. But I thank God for just like being introduced to God, and I know this isn't a religious broadcast, but I had a different perspective when it comes to marriage. I had a model, so I tried it once, had a disaster. It was so toxic, terrible. But number one, I take full responsibility for my actions, and I was able to move on and from my part, and really change my mind. And now I believe that I have a successful relationship, or I'm at least trying to have a successful relationship.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I've seen both. So I could have adopted that, but I decided not to as I moved on in my life. So how do you adopt it? Through, your experiences. What have you seen? If mama cussed them out, you think that it's normal to cuss them out.
That's right.
If daddy knocked her upside the head, you might adopt that habit. If she get out of line, I'm going to slap her in the face. I'm the man of the house.
Yeah.
You do what I say, or a woman that feels
You be
that
seen and not heard.
yes, you be seen and not heard. Exactly. So you can adopt these things, that's how toxic people are developed, through experience.
Yeah. And even on the flip side, like there are even abusive women, There are women who are verbally abusive.
Yes.
Emotionally abusive.
Right.
Because they know that man probably loved them, or that he could be needy or whatever.
Right.
And they and they're toxic, and they treat him poorly.
Right.
Or they are physically abusive.
Right. Because they've seen it.
I
know women that really brag about how they used to whoop their husband.
Whoop they a.
But when that man put his paws on you, it's wrong. I'm not implying or justifying any abuse. However, ladies, we got to be careful because a man is stronger than you,
Absolutely.
So if you're embracing that rah, hey, I'm going to hit you in your face and don't expect him to hit you back, it's a different game.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, my daddy used to say, don't hit no man unless you prepared to be hit back.
Right.
Period.
Right.
Like,
right.
I'm a woman, you ain't supposed to hit no girls. Like, no, if you hit a man, you better be prepared.
Right.
To be hit back.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the beast.
Right.
Don't start nothing that you can't finish.
Absolutely.
He
not.
always told me that. So keep your hands to yourselves, ladies.
Right.
If you can't keep your hands to yourself, you need to figure out why.
Yeah. And on the top of that, babe, like there are women that saw their mama be abused and she just took it. Of course, people don't react the same way. Some people see it. They say, you know what? My daddy wasn't there. I'm going to be here for my son. My mom was promiscuous. I'm not going to be promiscuous, So I'm not implying that everybody is that way. However, there are people that seen or witnessed their mom being abused or their dad being abused, and now they accept it.
Right.
Mama accepted. It was mom's norm. Now it's my normal.
Right.
So they accept the toxic behavior of the person that actually are in a relationship with them. And another way, babe, is to develop, because you can have a good person that have good intentions, good motives, their mindset is right, and they end up getting with a toxic person or having a toxic experience, and then they develop an anger. They develop madness. They develop a lot of pain, through disrespect or through a lot of drama, and they become bitter, so they can develop it in that moment.
Yeah.
So it can either be adopted or passed down, or it can be two good people that get together, clash so bad to where it become toxic.
Ooh-wee.
You know what I'm saying?
That happens.
It happens
really
a
does
lot.
Happen. That happens more often than we think. Because two really good people can have a horrible relationship.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it's just the two personalities just clash.
Right.
And they can be standalone great, but together they can be horrible for one another, and it's just not a good situation. So you got to recognize that early on. How would you say people can recognize those things though, babe? How do they start to recognize
Oh, how do you know you're in a toxic relationship?
toxic behaviors and
Behaviors. Stuff like that. When there's a lot of stuff they're obvious. A lot of things are right in front of you. Number one is disrespect. When you're disrespecting the person that you're with, when you're calling them out of their names, when you're contemptuous, when you're being extremely disrespectful. That's a way, that's an obvious way, to know that you're in a toxic relationship, or that that it can become extremely toxic, is when a lot of name calling, dishonor. And of course, another one is abuse.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, mentally, it's obvious. A lot of arguing, a lot of hate, a lot of anger in the relationship, fighting in front of the kids.
Yeah.
That's when you know that you're in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I remember even like little things like when you fight and then you leave and then you like, I ain't coming back. I'm not dealing with this. Like, that's emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Like, and people do that, like leave and don't come back. Leave and won't show back up till 2:00 in the morning, and you done made a whole ruckus in the house, and the kids heard it. I'm hurt, or I'm upset, or she's upset, or whatever, and then you leave and storm out. And that's emotional abuse. And a lot of times, well, I'm sure that the person, or, the person that's doing it knows that it's abusive, because that's why they do it, right?
Yeah.
That's why they leave out and don't come back for hours, and don't answer the phone when you call them. You know what I mean?
And they're just reproducing. That's what daddy did, or what they witnessed, or their homie did.
Yes.
And they're doing the same thing.
Yep. I remember having a friend, and it would happen all the time. I remember just staying nights over there, and it would always be that way. And it's like, man, do this happen every night? And it
was normal.
did. It was their normal.
Yeah.
Like, after a while, nobody was affected by it. Like, oh, he'll be back.
Yeah.
And I would be like, really? Like, okay.
Yeah. But it's unfortunately,
maybe your mama should lock the doors and change the locks.
But,
I don't know, but that was their normal.
Yeah, they're intoxicated. Their mind is like drugs, well, alcohol. It alters your thinking. So to be honest, when you are a toxic person, you don't think properly.
Yeah.
So a lot of us need to change our perception, or the way we think. And we need to do some more research on how to treat your man, on how to treat your woman, on what a normal relationship is, how to act, how not to act, how to conduct yourselves properly, what to say, what not to say, etiquette. Sometimes we got to pick up a book. If you don't have any models in front of you, you probably want to pick up a book.
Yep.
Pick up the Bible, whatever it is that you have in front of you. Think about Jesus Christ, whatever you want to, Yeshua, or whatever you represent, he represents to you. Look at what he done, model his behavior. And that's the greatest love that a person could ever deploy.
Model
and that's
the
what Christ has
behavior.
done.
I agree with that.
So read a book. You really want to just find, if you're in a dysfunctional relationship, you guys need to get some help, get a model, reach out to people, see a counselor. And that's what really irritates me. You hear people say, I want this relationship. It's toxic. You identify that there's a problem. But as soon as your person make a recommendation, whether it's seeing a pastor, whether it's counseling, whether it's just having a date to have conversation, you say no.
No.
So the question is, do you really want it?
No.
Right?
No. You just want to be right. And you don't want to be told that you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's so many people out there that don't want to hear that they're wrong, so they won't go seek help.
Yeah.
Because
it's humbling,
then they have to confront themselves.
Right. And it's humbling. It strips you naked. It makes you vulnerable by telling a person your deepest, darkest secrets. Because a lot of times we don't want to be judged. We don't want to feel naked. We don't want someone to look at us and create this perception about us.
But I think that a lot of times we mistake vulnerability for weakness, and vulnerability is really the greatest action of strength that you can have. Like being vulnerable, being able to share your feelings, like to really share your feelings in depth with someone. That's a strong person.
Yeah, absolutely.
That takes strength.
Yes, a lot of strength.
It don't take strength to be like, I'm strong.
Physical strength,
That don't take much strength. You know what I'm saying? But a person who can be weak, who can feel weak,
right,
and yet still be strong enough to say, I am weak, I have this issue.
I was wrong.
I was
am
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have these things going on.
I am dysfunctional.
Yeah.
I am
I need
alcoholic.
help. Yeah, I need help. That's
What do they do at AA? I am an alcoholic.
Yeah,
So you have to accept
Yeah.
your infirmities,
Yeah.
right? You have to accept the level of wrong that you've done to yourself or to your partner, your wife, your husband. We got to accept those things if we want to overcome this toxic relationship,
Yeah.
right?
And it's okay. Like if the model that we saw was not great, it's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's okay that mama wasn't the greatest example. It's
Right.
okay that daddy wasn't the greatest example.
Right.
It's okay that we didn't have the right examples in our life. Like sometimes you got to just let go of pride. Like
Right.
it's okay that we did not see the perfect picture.
We're all broken. We're all
You
trying to
know,
overcome, right?
But we can heal ourselves so
Yeah.
that we can become a perfect picture. You know what I
Right.
mean? Not perfect, but we can be better.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying to yourself, "Hey, I have shortcomings and I need to work on them." Because if you don't ever reflect and evaluate yourself, you don't grow. A person that cannot
Right.
evaluate their life, who they are as a person, where they're going, how they're going to get there, like you're not growing.
Yeah, you can't
You're
grow. It's
stuck in
impossible to
that
grow.
mindset. Like you're stuck there. And that's the only way you see it. If somebody is always like, "Oh no, it's going to be blue. It's always blue."
Yeah.
Like, no, some days it could be gray. You know, some days it can be green. You know, like you have to be able to see it another way and let go of the pride so that you can heal
Right.
for your children.
And for yourself, for the generations to come,
yourself.
especially for your, because a lot of times we are so selfish to where we don't want to change, you know. But do you know, husband, wife, couples, that you're not on this boat alone?
Yeah.
If you don't accept change, you're probably going to perpetuate, or your children are probably going to reproduce or become exactly who you are. You know, see, it's funny. Dysfunctional people laugh on Facebook when they cuss people out, when they call women bitches. Excuse my French. I'm not a cusser, but I got to put it to you real. When you call your wife a bitch and call women bitches and down them and be disrespectful in front of their daughters. But once somebody grab your daughter by the neck and call her a bitch, it ain't funny no more, is it? It ain't a game no more.
It's not.
You know, when you knocking your wife upside the head or knocking your husband upside the head, it's okay. It's justified. She gave me too much lip. But once that baby girl, your princess, grow up and she get a man that put those paws around her neck, it ain't that funny no more, is it?
That's not.
So it's important that we think about the generations to come, that that we're not in this boat alone, that we have to overcome. I know all of us have issues. I had a lot of anger and rage in me in my relationships. You know, it was drama. I mean, craziness. But you know what? I accepted my infirmities. I accepted my downfalls.
And what does holding
Right.
on to pride do for you besides leave you alone?
Yeah.
Because you can get a relationship, you can get somebody to fall in lust with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can woo somebody until you can't woo them no more, and then they
telling
start
you.
to see the real you. But what does that pride do for you?
Nothing.
You'll be left alone.
Yeah.
And I always think about that. Like I think about people later on in life, like how horrible it must feel to go to bed, you know, alone. Not saying I'm talking about people that really desire to be in a relationship and they won't work on themselves.
Right.
They really say that they want to be with somebody, but they won't work on themselves because it ain't nothing wrong with going to bed by yourself, doggone it. Please believe that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is for people that desire somebody, but they just not willing to put in the work to change who they are or to fix their imperfections to become better for somebody. To become better for yourself.
Right. And we gotta think generationally. And I love this quote that Dame Dash, I know a lot of you know Dame Dash, and he was on the Breakfast Club one day and they were talking about entrepreneurship. And I don't really this is kind of give you a little context. I don't really agree with a lot of his ideology or how he think. But one thing that he said that was extremely powerful, he said, I don't live for my first name. I live for my last name. So everything that he does in his life, he's not a perfect man. I'm sure, he's probably a little wacky or whatever. I don't have a perception of him. You could think how you want to think about him. I don't know him. However, what he said was very profound. He was thinking generationally. So he understood the pain that I take now into breaking barriers, making millions, changing my behavior, my mindset, becoming a pioneer, that it won't just affect me, but it'll affect my children's children.
That's right.
And that's why a lot of us, we got to really think about it. If you're in a toxic relationship, you really want to think about it. You want to get some things right. And if you're considering getting into a relationship, you need to really identify these, don't compromise. You need to really look and understand the person that you're getting in the bed with.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we learn on the job.
Right.
I'm not saying that things
yeah.
could be hidden,
Yeah.
but there are a lot of obvious situations that could be avoided, but we decide because of a lot of reasons to commit ourselves to something. And we were a great person, and now we are intoxicated as well. Now the whole family's drunk. Now the whole family can't think properly. Now the whole family normalized their condition. Everybody's intoxicated. So what? Intoxication begets intoxication, right? I think Valletta had said earlier about toxic people create little toxic people.
Oh, that's good. That's a good point.
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
that's a good point.
Now we got a few comments here. And of course we can't get to all the comments, y'all. We tried to, but we're running out of time, but we want to get to a few here. Babe, let's see here.
I like Mason's comment. He said, as men, we stay for the betterment of the children,
Yes.
not realizing it's doing more damage than good. Unfortunately, it's hard to leave the relationship because the system normally sides with the mother.
True.
Toxic people are very good at putting up fronts and using fear and manipulate kids to alienate the father. It's a sad cycle.
Absolutely.
It is.
You know what, Mason? We couldn't have said it.
It is a sad
better.
cycle.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you something. It is a sad cycle for any woman to pin the children against the father because he didn't do what you thought was right.
Totally toxic.
For y'all relationship. Like the two don't have anything to do with each other.
Absolutely.
If somebody a good father, it don't have nothing to do with how bad he is in a relationship. If you chose to stay in that relationship and go through the hell, that's your own fault. You take responsibility.
Absolutely.
You deal with it. But you don't punish him and you don't punish the children for your ignorance.
Yeah.
Because you chose to stay. That is so unfair, ladies. And we cannot do that. That is so unfair.
Yeah.
I've watched so many women try to stop their children's fathers from allowing them to see their children because they not with them any longer. How selfish are you?
Absolutely.
How selfish are you?
Very
How broken
selfish.
are you? How broken are you to do that and then to perpetuate it because you came out okay?
Yeah.
So you think, because apparently you didn't if you can do this.
Right.
You didn't. And that's not okay. We cannot do that. Like a person being a father or a mother has nothing to do with how terrible or how awesome they are in a relationship.
Right.
He might be a great father. He might just be horrible at being in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
He might go on to be in a great relationship with
you're
somebody
cool.
else. Maybe it's you. Maybe it ain't him.
Right.
So fix yourself and don't do that. And don't do that to your children because it's unfair.
Totally unfair.
It's so unfair.
And a lot of times, men, they do get, now some men
Penalized,
some
right?
men are fools. Some men don't give a doggone and they're going to do what they want to do. We're not talking about those men, but some men are stand-up guys.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
at least when it comes to their children, they might not be stand-up in a relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't care about that though. But if they're going to be good fathers, why
let them be fathers? Don't
why
penalize
not allow them
for your
to
pain.
be a father, right? Without strings attached.
Yeah.
Like, let go of your strings. What do you have to do with him being a father?
Right.
What do you have to do with that?
Yeah.
But that's your toxicity because your mama didn't let you go with your daddy.
There's a learned behavior.
Because he didn't want to be with her. Or because he wouldn't do this. Or because he wouldn't pay for that. Like, we can't do that. That's so wrong, people.
It's toxic.
It is. It's
very
wrong.
toxic. And
it's
then they
so
learn
wrong.
that. And the daughters, thank God that some people do, they when they get older, they come to their own conclusion, and kids aren't naive, but of course you can trick them when they're younger, but some people catch on, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. And then they grow up and they resent you.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate.
So you might have them for a minute, but then they're going to grow up and they gonna know what really happened, because they going to remember certain things. I remember my daddy came back. I remember when a family member would not allow somebody to come see their child. Like what would block them every single time they tried to come and see their child. Wow. Like literally, no. I'm talking about bringing gifts, bringing cards, bringing, love and bringing family members, just wanting to see the child, and was like being blocked from all sides. Like, absolutely not. You're horrible. You don't even know. How do you know?
Right.
Like, it ain't even the girl. It's the girl's mama or like, that's not, we can't do that, y'all. We can't do that. That's unfair to these children. And then they grow up without their fathers because we ignorant.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Sorry,
and
y'all. I'll be going on rant.
No, that's good, baby. This is good.
Just stop.
This is date night. We're chilling with our friends. We have a salad that we haven't eaten yet.
And I'm so tired, y'all.
But this is good. This is relevant. Mm-hmm. And I hope that you guys had an opportunity to share, and to get the message out more, because, like I said, there are a lot of toxic voices around social media. Damn fools. I'm going to say it.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people with intoxicated perceptions and ideologies on relationships and marriages. There are damn fools out there, and I'm going to say it. It ain't cute. What are we perpetuating? What are we saying? We think it's funny with these memes, and we down people that are trying to do positive things, and we praise the negative.
Well, why are we so backwards?
Because it's toxic, and I don't know if it's due to self-hate, if it's due to disappointment, if it's due to people being unhappy with themselves or being disappointed in relationships, but they are putting out a lot of foolishness that's going to ultimately destroy our children.
That will destroy.
But that's why we are here, guys, and that's why I really appreciate you guys logging on, because we need some sober thinkers. We need a real perspective.
Yes.
We need to let people know that love still exists.
Yes.
And healthy relationships still
exist.
And of
y'all.
course, it's going to take a lot of work. Absolutely. But we can do it if we desire to do it.
Yeah.
People will do what they want to do. That's why he's playing that video game all night. That's why she's shopping a lot, because she is going to do what she wants to do. We do what is valuable to us. But if I dare you and challenge people to put value on your relationship and watch how the health come back. Watch how the wounds that you once had, they begin to heal. Watch your house begin to get a little more stable. The intoxication that you once had, or the craziness, it'll start to dissipate.
Yeah.
Because you've chosen to be a little sober.
Yeah.
So we got to get sober in our relationships, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's very important. And
I agree.
we have a lot of good questions here, but we just want to finish with these few things, and we're going to answer a few of these questions. But I'm going to
Which is better, an absent father or a toxic father?
Neither.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that their outcomes, both of the outcomes could be detrimental.
Yeah.
Until that person actually changes, because.
Whew. Yeah, that was a good. That.
And what brings to mind, babe, is that a lot of people stay in their relationships because of the children. So is it better for you to kill one another, or is it better for you to possibly separate for a minute and get some help? Or possibly, I'm not advocating. I hate when people
just go your separate ways.
I would never advocate divorce. I think nobody wins in a divorce. If you're in a relationship right now and you're listening to us, guys, you fight for that thing. You continue. That's what we're doing. What we're doing, because guess what? A lot of times,
but it ain't a fight if it's only one person.
Exactly.
Remember that.
Yeah. And a lot of times we don't get this. We don't get this at church. We don't get this. We got a girlfriend that's giving us relationship advice. She ain't never been married. She done had
and she good
12
and single.
men. Or we got a cat that is intoxicated.
And she a hoe. Like, how you gonna take some? How you gonna take some relationship
Like,
advice from a
leave
hoe?
him. You shouldn't take that from him.
Like, who does that? Like, why
Yeah,
would you
yeah.
get some relationship advice from your good girlfriend? She cool, right? She cool. She good people.
Yeah.
But she a hoe, and she ain't been in a relationship since 97.
Right. Watch Power
Okay?
together. Go to the movies and have a good time. Let her be your friend, not your counselor.
Yeah,
right?
like you
Separate
really,
the
you
two.
got to separate the two. Like, don't be taking no advice from her.
Yeah.
She ain't got no good advice for you.
Right.
And dudes be swearing they be taking advice from their homeboys who ain't got nobody either. Like, how
Bro.
are you talking to him
Bro.
about your relationship? He
Bro.
ain't ever had a woman.
Like, man.
Like,
you know,
he ain't ever had a relationship.
he's not married.
He
And
ain't never
number
had a
one,
relationship.
He doesn't have the right paradigm or the right mindset.
He
to
done been
even-
with a whole lot
he's
of
not
women, but
credible.
he ain't had no real relationship, and you out here taking relationship advice from him like he really
Right.
got something to solidify your relationship and make it better.
Right. But in some cases, don't get me wrong, I am not discrediting why single people. Because there are some people that
We
aren't
ain't
in
talking
relationships.
about why single people.
Yeah,
we talking about dumb single people. We talking about stop going to your dumb friend who only gonna give you the answer that you looking for.
Like Cardi B's like, there's some hoes in this house. There's some y'all hear that?
Like,
And this is real, y'all. We
Do
got to
not.
deliver it to you real. And that's
like that's what's wrong with
the
our
perception.
kids. That's what's wrong with our children. That's what's
Yes.
wrong with our next
Yes.
generation.
It's what we entertain.
It's
right?
like for real. Like let's stop. Let's
Yeah,
not.
let's come on.
Let's
Come on, y'all.
not.
Let's wake up. People talk about being woke, and the crazy thing, a lot of woke people are off. You know what I'm saying? They say that they're woke. Yeah, eat the fish and spit out the bone.
I'm
Some of
sorry,
their
David. I
perceptions-
didn't mean to
what's
say
that?
she was a hoe.
Some of their perceptions or some of their theology or mindsets or whatever it is, take it. But guess what? Some of our heroes have blind spots.
Absolutely.
Just because don't
I mean,
Don't
we got
misunderstand.
yeah, we have blind spots.
no, right. But here's the point.
What you
Don't misunderstand some body of knowledge or information that might be accurate. Don't just look at that and credit that person as being the go-to person in every area.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So we want to be very mindful
Yeah. No,
of a
I
lot
get
of
it.
woke people or people, they might be good on nutrition. They might be good herbalists, but they're terrible fathers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They might be an excellent preacher, but they might not be the best husband.
Yeah.
They might be a theologian. Not really religion, a historian.
Yeah, but people
but
gotta.
they might not respect women. You know what I'm saying?
People
So you got to be
have
careful.
to stop thinking that just because somebody has a title or hold weight or whatever we
Yeah.
think that may be, that they know everything about everything.
Right. No, like we don't.
We don't know everything about everything.
Absolutely
It's
not.
so many
No.
people out here that don't know anything about your situation, and you keep going to them. Like, why do you keep going to people that can't help you?
Right.
And you keep being led to go back to the mess. Like you keep
Yeah.
being led to go back to the boo-boo because you keep talking to the same people
Same
that can't give you no good
Right.
advice.
And you are what you eat. Remember, what we listen to and what we entertain will ultimately and meditate on will ultimately determine our actions.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're listening to a lot of negativity, a lot of YouTube videos as it pertains to marriage and relationships, if you look at a lot of people just breaking up and seeing their experiences, if you witness a lot of pain and you're entertaining that, ultimately you'll become what you're eating.
You will.
You'll get fat on the wrong foods. So it's important that we take even a diet from social media. Because people are nut, man. People,
Ooh, they be
you got some folk out here.
nutrageous
I'm
on
telling you,
social
they
media.
own some dumb stuff, man.
They be
So you really want to be cautious
nutrageous.
of the people that you entertain. So I don't want to keep harping on that or that isn't the topic, but I really want to just warn people that you got to be careful.
Yeah. And seek wise counsel. It's
Wise
okay. Like you
counsel,
really
man.
have to seek wise counsel. I mean, you can't win if you don't seek wise counsel.
Yes.
And sometimes you got to go pay for that wise counsel.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna be free.
Yeah.
If you want help, if you want to do Jenny Craig, you got to pay Jenny Craig. If you want to do Weight Watchers, you got to pay Weight Watchers. They're
And on
gonna
the
give
top
you
of
the
that,
results
though,
you
on the
want.
top of that, you got to apply what they
You
teach.
do.
You got to eat the food.
You got to
that they're
eat the
giving
food
you,
that
right?
they tell you to
Or
eat.
it won't work if you don't put the necessary effort into your relationship.
Oh, it's so true.
It will not work. I don't care how many times you get on your knees, which I'm not discrediting. Like Stacey said, you better go to God. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. God will help you identify things.
He ain't gonna fix
He
it.
can
though.
change your heart, but you have to.
You got to do the
accept
work.
it. You have to apply that thing. Faith without works is dead.
Yeah, you got to do the work,
You're
baby.
absolutely right, Stacey. You're absolutely right. But
I'm all for going to God, but I'm all for doing the work because a lot of times as believers, that's all we do is we go to God. I'm going to leave it there with God and he going to fix it. Like, no, he not. He
Yes.
waiting on you to fix it
Yes.
because he empowered you to do it.
Yes.
He empowered you to change it.
Telling
He
you,
empowered you to change,
Yeah.
to flip the situation around. He gonna show you how to do it.
Right.
He gonna be there to give you the grace that you need
Yeah,
to get
absolutely,
through
absolutely.
it. But
He can heal your heart. He
you
can heal
got
your
to
heart.
do the work. Like
Absolutely.
you have to do the work.
yes,
So sometimes we just really seriously got to get up off our knees and get to working.
yeah.
You know?
You got to yield to the process and understand that in order to birth a baby, there have to be some type of. You can't think a baby into existence. I've never seen a person say, you know what? I think I'm gonna have a boy, twins.
Twins.
You ain't married. It's gonna take some sexual intercourse, some seems
Sexual
like you're
healing.
ready. Some R. Kelly. No, no R. Kelly. We don't want to get into that debate right now. I don't really
right,
mess with
Stacey,
Kels
fix it,
right now.
Jesus.
But that's the reality. It takes two people getting together, the seed and the egg connecting,
Yeah.
and then conception happens, right? So in our relationship, we have the seed.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us don't have the knowledge, but we can get the knowledge. And as you apply that, see, knowledge is the seed, but you got to marry the egg application. So when they come together, then a baby will come forth. But guess what? If you're just talking about your problems and don't do anything about it,
Ooh.
nothing is going to happen.
I know somebody who can call me every day, right? I'm talking about every day and talk
Yes.
about their problems, right? This back in the day. It's not nobody I'm talking to right now. Could call me every single day and talk about their problems. Then I give them some advice.
And they don't apply it.
They never apply it, but then
Right.
call me the
Bro.
next day
Yeah.
and talk about the same problem. I'm like, yo.
Like you didn't do what I
After a
told you to the
while,
first
I was
time,
like,
right?
listen, stop calling me. Because these are dumb conversations at this
Yeah.
point. Like they're pointless. Like
Right.
after 7 months of talking about it, I have nothing else to give you because you're not going to do anything.
Right.
So you're wasting my time and yours.
And your time. Because we're normal, we're comfortable.
Yeah.
And we don't want to put in the work, And I know here, let's be honest, it's not, change isn't easy.
It's not. It's not.
Especially if you're
I was fat for a
perpetuating
long time. That wasn't easy to not to not be fat.
lose the weight. I'm still trying to
Shoot.
When you have an issue or an addiction like alcoholism, it's not easy to overcome it. And I think David asked a question like, how do you overcome it? Or what would you say?
Okay.
Well, number one, you have to identify a thing.
You do.
You have to acknowledge it and identify it, but also confess it to say, my relationship is jacked up.
Yeah.
Honey, what we're doing ain't working. What we're doing ain't working. Whether it's mutual or equal contribution, or if it's heavy on one side, it doesn't matter. It ain't working.
Yeah.
So you got to identify it and also acknowledge that there's a huge problem. And these
then
are
take
practical principles.
responsibility
Take responsibility
for
for
your part. Like take responsibility because a lot of times we so busy blaming the other person, we act like we haven't done anything. Like I remember when me and Steve used to argue back in the day, like when we first got together, we have our little arguments and he'd be like, he apologized and then I ain't saying nothing. Like, forget you. I was right. I ain't saying nothing. But I had to learn, like, you got to accept your part. Like, you did do something. You were wrong. You said some things that were not right. You said some things that could have been hurtful.
Right.
And so you have to acknowledge that thing and you have to go back and say, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I take responsibility for my part.
But here's the thing, babe. And I know a lot of you, I know most of humanity deal with it. It's freaking pride. It's freaking ego. We want to be right, or we have a persona or an intoxicated perception of who we really are.
That we always
But really,
right.
we ain't.
We not. And your mama will tell you that.
Daddy wasn't.
You
Mama
ain't.
wasn't. And you ain't.
For real. Yo boo-boo stink.
And all of our boo-boo do stink.
My mama
right?
used to say that to me all the time.
Yeah.
What you think, yo boo-boo don't stink?
Boo-boo stink.
It
all
stank
boo-boo stink.
just like everybody else's.
Yours might be a little smellier, but
Deal
it all
with
stink,
yourself.
right?
While you walking around mad about everybody else,
Right.
look at yourself.
Right.
Because you stank too.
Right. So let's give some. We're way over, babe.
Okay.
I said
Sorry,
10,
y'all.
15. We should
I don't have
done
to
with
go
this.
to work tomorrow.
Right.
Not for anything good, but I
Right,
don't have to
right.
go to work tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
But I think that this is relevant. I think that it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So just a few more minutes, guys. We have a few more things that we just want to hit on here. David talked about, we're solution oriented.
Yes.
We don't like to pamper the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like to judge people or anything like that. We just want to just shine light on some things so that we all can get better, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of want to just talk about, why do people get into toxic relationships? And to be honest, babe, sometimes it just happens. I don't think that an alcoholic just decided to be
An
alcoholic.
Right, yeah.
It can start off casually. You're a casual drinker, Then all of a sudden you're stuck in an abusive relationship. You knew you had a checklist of all your wants and all of your deal breakers. However, you start to drink the Kool-Aid because you wanted to be in love.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore you're stuck 20 years later in this toxic relationship. But it's not like you asked for it, but you kind of gradually or casually fell into that thing. Because we have a lot of good people that are in toxic relationships because they didn't see the power of the alcohol.
Or they saw
Right.
it, right? But the feeling of being loved overcame them so much.
No, but here's the thing. That's number two, though. Some people drink to cope.
Yes. Yeah. That's usually why I think
Yes.
people
So they get into relationships
I think
for
that's why.
comfort.
I and I say that because people typically know when things are not good for them. You can see things that are not good
Right.
for you early on. You just choose not to accept those things, and you choose to continue to move forward
Right.
with that relationship because it's doing something for
Right.
you. It's
It
gratifying.
feels a void.
Yeah.
Right.
It's fulfilling something deep down inside you that we all yearn for, right? That
Yeah.
we all desire, which is love,
Yeah.
right?
Act
So
like you don't desire companionship,
Yeah.
but fool yourself.
yeah, so it definitely feels that void inside of us that we all desire.
It's a part of creation.
Yeah, so we bypass all of those little things that that occur throughout the relationship, and we suppress those things because the feeling of love is there, because I got somebody to go out with.
Yeah.
I got somebody to lay on the couch with.
A warm body,
I got a
you know,
warm
to share
body
with.
in the bed,
Right.
even though he get on my nerve and he tell me to shut up sometimes, or he demeans me, or, he belittles me, or, she cursed me out, or she slaps me in the back of the head, or she locks me out of the house, or she takes my kids and won't let me see them, like, even though like certain things like that happen, when it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes we fall for the okie doke.
Yeah.
And
it's because some people need alcohol to escape. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are insecure, and we all have insecurities, but we settle because we want somebody. We need to cope. Sex is a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Being with somebody is a coping, fulfilling mechanism. Is a thing that validates our emptiness.
Yeah.
But that's why it's important for us to be whole and be confident in who we are. And we won't chase this high or feel like we need to be drunk to party.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a functioning dysfunctional holic is just like an alcoholic. Sometimes you fall into it. It starts off casual, but some people, they run to it because they need to cope. They're in love with love. So they settle.
Love. Yeah.
It numbs you to the reality of what's going on.
Just to have somebody. Yeah. And a lot of times we find ourselves in stupid relationships because we just want to have somebody. We so caught up in just being in love. It don't matter who it is.
Yeah.
We just want to be in love. We just want to be loved.
Right.
And then
who doesn't,
Everybody does, right? We all desire that. But the terrible part is when people do it and and it's only gratifying that little that bit of them that wants that love, and then they know in their heart of hearts they don't really want to be with that person.
Right.
So they start being toxic towards that person because they really don't truly like that person.
Right.
They just feel like they have somebody.
Right.
You ever met somebody like that? Like,
you need a drink. Like I said, you need a drink to party.
yes.
You need a drink to function.
Yes.
You cannot have a good time unless your mind is altered.
Unless you're altered. Yes.
And that's how dysfunctional people do.
Oh, that's good.
Because we are numb to our condition. We accept that dysfunction. And that's what we cope. We use relationships to cope, to fulfill us.
Yeah.
And another reason is that we get into like these toxic relationships is because that's all that we know.
Yeah.
We're addicted to it.
Yeah. It is.
I want me a hood chick.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little hood chick. Don't get me wrong. I'm from Southwest Detroit. When I left Southwest Detroit, I lived on the west side.
Yeah. I want
Joy
me.
Road.
I want me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little hood chick.
You know what I'm saying?
We
Joy
get
Road
down.
in the building.
But I know how to be a lady.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know how to be a lady.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the perception. Mama had a dope dealer. Now I want a dope dealer. That's all I've seen.
All I wanted to be was a drug dealer's girlfriend.
That's my normal.
All I wanted.
And unfortunately that's what happens. And let's read a few comments, babe. And Tiffany said, definitely a choice. It is a choice. Some people do choose to be in these relationships, but a lot of people don't. Ultimately, if they knew that it was going to be that, they wouldn't have chosen that.
Sorry,
you know what I'm saying?
I be saying her boo-boo a lot. Boo-boo a lot. I'm sorry.
Yes. Stacy said, I didn't grow up seeing drinkers. I never knew about a functioning alcoholic. Didn't even realize it until it was all over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for your honesty. And a lot of times you didn't have that experience. So you didn't see the red flags.
Yeah, you didn't see it coming.
And that it's kind of like a casual drinker.
Yep.
You drink one drink, you taste it. It's no big deal. Mm-hmm. You drink on the weekends, you drink at happy hour, and now all of a sudden
you need to drink all the time.
You need to drink all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's how people are.
And let me tell you, that can sneak up on you.
Yeah.
It really can. I remember when I tell y'all I love wine, I love it. It don't really do nothing for me. At least I didn't think it was, right?
Yes.
But I remember one time I was like, I couldn't wait to get out of traffic.
Yeah.
To get a glass of wine because I felt myself on edge. And I knew that the wine would calm me down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, I needed that to feel normal. Like I needed it at that moment to feel normal.
Yeah.
I was like, that ain't cool. Like you don't want to be like leaning on no wine to feel normal now. That ain't cool.
Yeah.
So I had to check myself. Like, nope. Just because I had that thought, I chose like, I'm not giving it to myself.
Right.
Like however you feeling right now on edge, because I hate driving. Like I hate traffic. Mm-hmm. I hate driving. It's just, I hate it. Right. I got married, so I never had to drive. Right. So when I say I was on edge, like my anxiety is like out the roof when I'm driving, especially in rush hour traffic. Mm-hmm. When I say I needed that glass of wine, I knew I needed it.
Right.
But I'm telling you, on my drive home, I was like, when you get home, you cannot have a glass of wine because now you're leaning on this.
Right.
To feel normal. And that's not okay.
Right. And that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Is because we do, we lean on that to cope. Like the coffee in the morning.
But now I don't have to drive, so I can have wine anytime.
Like coffee in the morning, we feel that we need it for a pick-me-up. We drink coffee every day. But when you're only a prisoner to things that you need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You a slave to it.
You can have a want, but don't make it a need.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you can want a man or a woman, but when you make it a need, you feel like you got to have it in order to be fulfilled. Mm-hmm. And therefore you start to settle.
That's right.
And some people are just so toxic. You've seen all this drama in your home. You've seen it all around you, and that's all you know.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. That's a terrible place to be because we got a lot of them on social media. They seen a lot of arguing, and what they do, they argue on social media all day. That's all they want to do. They want to cuss folks out. They want to
Stacey,
debate.
I can relate to your comment. I'm so sorry. But I can definitely relate to your comment that you said, I never saw them drunk, but they always had a drink in them.
Wow.
I come from that, like not my immediate family, but my family members are the same way. Like, and that's cool. That's what they do. Like, I'm no judgment here, but it is what it is. And it's like, wow, you don't realize that certain things are in you until you start to reach for it. And you like, why am I reaching for this? And so it's like, you gotta know your triggers.
Right. Right.
And I guess that's what I was coming to,
Yeah.
but I thought that was good.
It takes a lot of self-awareness, right?
A lot.
Right. Now this is good. I think that this is, but man, we got to learn how to manage our time because we be on here way too long.
Okay. How to heal though? How to heal, right?
How to heal. Yes.
Let's go through how to heal.
And
we're going to go through them real
guys,
quick, right?
We want to appreciate you guys for showing up. We really appreciate the support. And hopefully this was beneficial to you guys because it was beneficial to me. Okay. I'm learning as we teach or as we conversate or converse. Like conversate.
So how do we heal and move forward, right? So you choose yourself. You choose to overcome. You choose to be a survivor. You got to learn to choose yourself. Like that is so important. Choosing to not allow the toxic behaviors to continue to be your driving force, or your driving motivation, or a part of your everyday life. You have to choose yourself, right? You got to choose the fact that I want to be better for me. And that's okay. Right. It's okay to be selfish in that moment. At some point, you have to be. Yeah. Right.
Now that's for people. That's for people that are single. Right. Now, what was the question?
That's people. That's how to heal. From
how to heal.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
The other thing was to be accountable and take responsibility and realize you allowed the toxic behavior in your life. Right. And why did you allow it in your life? Yeah. How did it come to be? You gotta wrap your mind around that. What is it in you that attracts that behavior to you? Right. What is it in you that attracts those type of people to you? Because if you're constantly getting the same person wrapped up in a different package, it's not them, it's you. It's something that you're attracting. And you got to ask yourself, hey, why am I attracting these type of individuals into my life? Yeah. And that's being accountable. You got to look at yourself. You really do. We got to look at ourselves.
And it's kind of like you talked about attraction. Like, have you ever noticed that people that are dysfunctional or full of drama, they might see somebody acting a fool and be like, I like her. Because you're a fool too. And that's unfortunate. That's what people crazy likes crazy. So we got to really look out for that, right?
Then you need to find support through family, friends, small groups, or professional help. Yes. You need to seek help for yourself. Again, that's another selfish act, and that's okay. It's okay. Yeah. You got to be selfish when you're trying to heal yourself, right? Learn to love yourself and value your worth and build true self-confidence and self-esteem. That's another thing that you need to be selfish about. You got to learn to love who you are. Absolutely. Come to grips with who you are and who you are not. Right. Because a lot of times we'll say who we are, but we don't realize also who we're not. Yeah. And you got to come to terms with that. And that's okay. I am not a lot of things. And I know that. And so I have to be okay with that. And in that, I have true self-confidence in who I truly am. Right. But it takes a lot of strength to accept who you are. A lot of humility. Just God doesn't make mistakes. So we got to just cut it out. If you don't like who you are, make yourself better. That's it. Make yourself better. Pick up a book. Not change your like the Kardashians, like change your whole face and body. I ain't mad at you. You get a little booty or something like that. Yeah. But moving forward, just don't get too much in there. Practice integrity. Practice dignity and self-worth daily. And anything that compromises those things, eliminate. Yes. Anything that causes you to walk outside of your integrity, anything that causes you not to have dignity, anything that causes you to, what somebody say, knock you off your square, don't deal with that. Like, break all ties from that. Right. You have to eliminate those things from your life and walk in the fullness of your integrity, because this is who you are and this is who you are choosing to be. And that takes a lot of self-acceptance,
but also self-confidence.
And self-love.
Yes, yes.
Like, we have to love ourselves. Like, we
Absolutely.
truly have to love ourselves. We got to be okay with who we
That's
are.
where it starts.
Yeah, we got
That's
to be
where it
okay with
starts.
who we are.
Yes.
Yep. And learn to be more assertive. You know, I like to say there's a reason why
See you, Stacy. Thanks for coming.
abusive people don't like assertive people, because they know they can't get one over on you, and they know you're going to have something to say. It's a reason why abusive men don't like assertive women.
That's right, Alicia.
They say you talk too much. Oh, she got an attitude problem. Oh, she this, she that. No, you just don't like the strength in her voice, and that's a problem in you.
I wanna be the one to hold you close.